Bonjour, y'all. Today's video, I'm going to be doing my top favorite southern cities and towns. We'll be starting the list off with Richmond, Virginia. So, Jamestown, the wrong city. Virginia, that's a state. Richmond, Virginia. Richmond is definitely one of my favorite southern cities just because of the fact that it was the Confederate capital. There's so much history in that city. Now the city was burned down, so it's more a city filled with monuments compared to historic architecture. But visiting Richmond is definitely big on my list. I would love to visit Richmond. Just the state of Virginia. I would love to go there because it was the first state in the Union. And next up on my list would definitely be St. Augustine in Florida. St. Augustine was founded in 1565 by the Spanish. It is the oldest city in America, and it's in Florida, which is the South, so points to the South for that, having the oldest city in America. That's pretty cool. I've been to Florida, but I went to Pensacola. I was nowhere near St. Augustine. But I'd love to go to St. Augustine. There's a bunch of old architecture. There's, yeah, they have a little, like, historic district. Next up on my list would be Mobile, Alabama. Now this is a southern city I've actually been to. Me and my dad visited New Orleans, but we also ventured out. We didn't just stay in New Orleans. That was the main goal of the trip, to kind of like, that was the main goal of going to the South, because I wanted to see New Orleans. That's like the heart of the South to me. But we ventured out. We did go to Biloxi, Mississippi. We passed Mobile, Alabama, and we landed in Pensacola, Florida. Next up on my list would be Savannah, Georgia, founded in 1733. Savannah, Georgia is a very beautiful southern town. It's definitely known for its parks. I do know Forrest Gump was set in Savannah. There's also another good southern movie called The Midnight Garden of Evil, something in a garden. It's set in Savannah. It's a really good book and it's a really good movie. I haven't been into the state of Georgia. I want to go there. I would go to the state of Georgia for Savannah, Atlanta. I would love to visit Savannah. Very beautiful southern city. Charleston, South Carolina is really big on my list. So Charleston is right next to New Orleans in, like, in terms of being an iconic southern city. It's just, Charleston is where the Civil War started, Fort Sumter. If you ever watched the TV show from the 80s, North and South, there's a bunch of great scenes set in Charleston, like the part where the South became their own country. You see Ashton and a bunch of other Southerners like celebrating. So yeah, Charleston is definitely big on my list on places I want to visit in the South. I would love to visit Fort Sumter. Yeah, there's so much stuff to do in Charleston. It was the site of the shooting in 2015 by Dylan Roof, where he went into an African American church and he shot up a bunch of African Americans, apparently trying to start a race war. Not nice. We Southerners got to realize that black, white, it was they both mix, and that's what made the South the South. You can't have the South without the slaves because they contributed so much to American culture. And then you have the whites that contributed elegance, but over time they mixed, and that's what made the South the South. It's a special, unique place in America, and there's no other place like the South. Now let me move on next on my list. Natchez, Mississippi. Natchez, Mississippi, very beautiful southern town. It's upriver from New Orleans. It's in the state of Mississippi. I already said that. But north and south, there was lots of places used in Natchez, and north and south, there was many locations filmed there. So Natchez is big on my list, and I guess you could, you probably know what I'm gonna pick for my favorite southern city. I mean, come on, guys, New Orleans. It's New Orleans. It's the Queen City of the South. If you don't believe me, look at New Orleans, Southern Queen. Oh, come on, Queen New Orleans. I mean, I think you're getting my point. New Orleans is like the heart, the face, and the soul of the South. You can't get more iconic than New Orleans. And I've been there. Is very beautiful, and I want to move there. Once you go to New Orleans, it grabs a piece of your heart and it never lets go. So I hope you enjoyed this video of my favorite southern cities and towns. And I actually ordered stuff on Amazon, and it's going to come in later, and I'll show you guys that in a small little video. I got a book and a movie. Y'all, and I just got my package from Amazon. So I ordered 4 stuff actually, but I don't know, they send stuff randomly. Let's see what I got. Oh, don't you just love the smell of fresh books? So the first thing that came in, guys, was The World That Made New Orleans. It's a really great book. It talks about colonial New Orleans and how the French and Spanish came together and how they mixed, and the result that made New Orleans the city it is today. And last but not least, I have King Creole, a great Elvis Presley movie, probably the best movie of his. So yeah, I got 2 things, and yeah.